and you're saying to yourself, even though this thing is happening, this stressful thing, I'm still awesome.
Yeah.
I still love myself. Even though this is really scary, I'm still safe, and you're doing this.
Parenting doesn't come with a manual, but it does come with pressure. Today's guest has spent more than 3 decades supporting children and families through education, mental health, and real life parenting. Monica Nave is the heart behind Butterfly Effect Parenting, where she helps parents reduce stress and bring more ease and enjoyment into the family life by making one small change at a time. Monica, welcome to Positive Vibes with Nicki Dennis.
Thank you so much for having me. And wow, you described what I do perfectly.
You're-
Perfectly.
That's why we're here. We want to find out more, Monica. But before we find out more, before the butterfly effect parenting, before the titles, before the credentials, who were you drawn to helping?
Well, so I had a pretty smooth childhood growing up. Great parents. So I had good role models for parenting. Um, and I've just always wanted to be a parent. And I
Mm,
thoroughly enjoyed raising my kids. So, they're young adults now, but um, yeah. So I was a bit of an anxious child. I got up into maybe, you know, young adulthood, I would
hmm
say. Um, and learning as I went, as I got out of college and started working, um, that anxiety shows itself
mm,
in ways that are not very pleasant sometimes. Sometimes
mm,
people who are anxious are irritable or they're controlling or just all around not very kind, which was kind of a big aha for me. And realizing that has been helpful with my students at school, and it's been helpful with my own kids, and for like myself to realize,
mm,
oh, I got some aha stuff going on there. So,
Yeah,
so yeah.
it's so good to hear that you actually were self-aware so early in your life, just coming out of school and understanding how it shows up. But were there moments in your early career that confirmed when working with children and families was your calling?
I think before I went back to school, I was a preschool teacher, and
Mm,
I've just always enjoyed working with kids, I guess.
yeah.
Um, so when I first got out of school and I was a therapist, I was the person that they would usually send the kids and families to because I loved it.
Mm,
I guess I thought it was fun. And my dad always told me, if you're not having fun at work, you need to find a new job.
yeah.
So I always found that fun. So
Yeah. Yeah. You've got a beautiful energy about you. I can see why kids are drawn to you. So, how did becoming a parent yourself shape the way you support parents today?
I think that I have a lot more empathy and compassion for what they go through.
Mm,
Um, before before I was a parent, I had lots of ideas, you know what I mean? And I had lots of tricks that I
yeah.
thought I should teach to people and whatever. And but I didn't really have the empathy behind it to be like, oh, I understand why you're
Mm,
feeling like you're feeling. I understand why it's frustrating. I understand, I get it now. And so when somebody comes to me as like a parent of one of my students or something, I will, I relate to them in a different
mm,
way than maybe some other people relate to them. I'm relating to them parent to parent. You
Mm.
know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's that true lived experience. And I think that's where people are seeking out others that actually understand it because they've actually lived it and get it. Where if people haven't lived through it, it's hard for them to understand. And, of course they can be supportive, but they don't truly understand it from that lived experience. So you're a wealth of knowledge in that regard. So, just on parents, so we know parents today are overwhelmed. From your perspective, what is weighing them down the most right now?
What is weighing them down the most? I think their own anxiety, their own pressure. There's a lot of
Mm,
pressure to be the best at everything and to have your kids be the best at everything. Oh,
yeah.
your kid started reading at 4. Oh, mine has to do it at 3 then. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a lot of pressure to just
Yeah.
for themselves and for their kids. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think the farther we go and the more we learn in the world, the more pressure there is, you know.
Yeah, there seems to be a real competitive nature out there in regards to, what children are doing and how they're progressing. But everyone progresses at their own rate and at their own time and bloom into that person who they become as adults. But as we said, many parents are overwhelmed but many feel like they're also failing, even though they're doing their best. Why do parents feel that way so often? You've touched on a little bit more, but I'm just wondering if you can go a little bit deeper into that.
So I think that when this or that doesn't work, we feel like we failed.
Mm,
And so then we feel like we're a failure overall. And in order to make things better or feel better about our parenting, we have to overhaul everything. Like make this giant overhaul and do everything differently, which
mm,
is really not the case. But when we're overwhelmed, that's what it feels like. You know what I
mm,
mean? So, um, but if we can just see that making one little change at a time, maybe we can cut down on that overwhelm and
mm.
then they can see big results from just one little change at a time.
Yeah.
It's a lot
So,
less overwhelming.
yeah. So just on that overwhelm, what do you wish more parents understood about themselves and their nervous systems?
Um, so I think that what we don't realize is that when we are dysregulated in our nervous system, when we are having giant emotions, or we can feel kind of that stress in our body, even,
Mm,
um, I feel like we think we need to sit down and figure out a solution right in this minute. And if we can't do that, we're failing. And we think the same for our kids. You know what I mean? Like, sit
mm,
down. I know you're really, really upset, but sit down. We're going to figure this out. We're going to solve the problem, find a solution. And we sometimes can't even do that. And especially kids can't even do that, because their brains are less developed than ours. And if we can't do that, certainly they can't do that.
mm,
Um, I mean, sometimes I can regulate, just personally, sometimes I can regulate myself by okay, it was a mistake they made.
mm,
I'll call the company, I'll give them slack, it was a mistake, whatever, whatever. And then sometimes, no, I
mm.
can feel it in my body. I am so stressed out.
Yeah.
So, what I have to do instead of trying to talk myself out of it, which doesn't work, is I have to go, for me, this works. I have to go take a walk. I walk to the park near our house and then I walk back
Mm,
and I walk quickly, right? So, I think that's what parents or any of us,
yeah.
it's helpful to realize how we can regulate in other ways than just talking
Mm.
ourselves out of it.
Yeah. So just further on that, you say self-care is foundational to being the best parent you can be. What does that really mean in real day life?
So, so when we are it's like that, the instructions on the plane. Do you know when if
Mm,
the air pressure goes away, then you put your own oxygen mask on first, and then you put it on your child. And that is true for life because if you
mm,
don't have your oxygen mask on, your brain is not functioning and you will not get that mask onto your kid, you know. And
yeah,
it's like a metaphor for parenting,
yeah,
where I think sometimes we think that self-care means take care of me instead of my kid at
yeah,
the expense of my kid, and then we feel bad about that. So we
yeah,
don't do it.
yeah,
Or we think that it's like another way of saying self-indulgence. And then
yeah,
we feel bad for that. So we don't do it again,
yeah, yeah.
But what it actually, how I define self-care is like something that you can do in this minute to help you in this minute, but it also has long-term effects. And it doesn't create like regret.
Mm, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
So that's kind
absolutely.
of self-care. And when we do it that way, it's like there's not really guilt to it. It's not putting me before my kid. It's taking care of me too, not instead of them. So I don't
Mm.
know.
Yeah. So do you think that guilt of self-care is the reason why parents sacrifice that as their first thing in life?
Say that one more time. Do I think that what
Why
was that?
parents with self-care, they often sacrifice self-care as one of their
Hmm.
first things to go in life because they feel guilty around that. Do you think that's, why? Because they're feeling guilty and they think self-care is selfish. And then if they think it that way, how can they reframe that thinking to support them instead of feeling guilty that they're actually supporting themselves by doing the self-care?
Right. Because your kids benefit. Our kids
Mm,
benefit when we take care of ourselves for a couple different reasons. One reason is that I have nothing left to give if I am totally empty. I can try and like be the best I can be, but I'm not going to be as good as I could be if I was taking care of myself. And then another thing is that kids now see us modeling self-care. So they know now, okay, mom is strong. She's taking care of herself. She can handle stuff. I can tell her stuff. I don't have to keep stuff from her, right? And then they also see, like, wow, I can take care of myself too. I don't have to put everyone before me.
mm,
It's okay to take care of myself. So they benefit in like lots of ways when we
mm.
take care of ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to touch on a technique called emotional freedom technique, EFT. For listeners
Mhm.
who are new to this concept, can you
Mhm.
explain in simple terms what it is and why it works?
So, yeah, so EFT is kind of a combination. I think of it as kind of a combination between like acupuncture
Hmm.
and like counseling or psychology to kind of, because what we'll do is we will tap on certain points that would also be used for acupuncture, but we don't have any needles. We just have our fingers tapping like this,
Hmm.
right? And before we do the EFT, our nervous system is set up to be stressed out about certain things.
Hmm.
So if I got bitten by a dog as a child, in my mind, dogs might be dangerous, you
Mm,
know. And so maybe before I start EFT, my mind is associating dogs with danger, with not being safe.
yeah.
So when I'm sending um, a safety message to my brain is how I kind of just, so I'm sending a message to my brain that I'm safe, everything's okay, I'm not in danger while I'm tapping on these points of my body, but I'm also thinking of what it is that stresses me out. So now my nervous system rather is reassociating. It's now forming a new association that says dogs and safety together.
Yeah.
Instead of dogs in danger, it's reframing to say dogs in safety.
Mm. So, Monica, you started tapping there. Can you walk us through the basic tapping points and how someone would get started?
Yes. So, yeah, so we actually are actually having a free event coming up, a 3-day free
Ah,
event with tapping with yourself and your kid. But yeah, so this right here is like a karate chop. You
mm-hmm.
can see in the camera.
Yep.
Yeah, this part of your hand where you would hit a board if you were doing a karate chop. So if you're tapping here and you're saying to yourself, even though this thing is happening, this stressful thing, I'm still awesome.
Yeah.
I still love myself. Even though this is really scary, I'm still safe. And you're doing this to kind of get your nervous system ready for the rest of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you may just tap the points as I show you. And so then you're going to tap right here,
Mm-hmm.
just inside of your eyebrows there. And then you're going to tap to the sides of your eyes, cheeks right here, under your nose, chin, and then just right below your collarbones right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then right under just right on your armpit area right here, top of your head. And while you're doing this, you're just going to be saying for the dog thing, the dog bite, scary dogs, dogs are scary. And you're just going to kind of go through this and you're just going to keep doing this and you're going to keep going more and more rounds until you get to feel calm.
Okay. Yeah. And you're actually saying dogs are scary while you're tapping it. You're not reinforcing positive talk. You're actually just working through the emotion you're feeling at the moment.
Right, right. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything if you're saying,
Mm.
I know I'm safe. Dogs aren't, that's not going to hurt anything
Yeah.
because all this is doing is sending a calming signal to your brain.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But now you want to make it a new association with dogs if they're dangerous in your brain to make them safe now.
Yep. Yep. So you talked about the up and coming free workshop for parents and their children. How do parents know if EFT is working for them or their children?
Right. And it's kind of subjective, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in order to measure that, you kind of measure on a scale of, 1 to 10, 10 being the highest stress, 1 being hardly any stress. And then you measure it before you start.
Mm-hmm.
And then you measure it after you go through the sequence. And then if it's not down as much as you want, you do it more.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So you said it's subjective. Is there a personal story where you can share where EFT made a noticeable difference for you or a family you worked with?
Yes. So not with the numbers, but I love this story so much. We had a 4th grade girl in my elementary school, and she was having trouble with friends because she had some behaviors that were kind of off-putting to
Mm-hmm.
the other girls in her class, I guess. And one day she came into my office and she was sobbing like she could not even catch her breath. And I said, I have something, it looks a little goofy. Would you be willing to try? And I had met with her several times, so she knew me, and so she
Mm-hmm.
agreed to do it. And so we were going through doing our tapping and saying our stuff. And she was really upset because one of the other girls had said something really derogatory, really hurtful to her. And she came in, she was like so hurt and angry, and she kind of wanted to get back at her, you know? And so we're going through
Mm-hmm.
this, and like suddenly out of nowhere, she said, I don't have to respond to her. And I was like, wow, okay. So we didn't do any numbers, but like her breath
Yeah.
started slowing down. She stopped crying. She came to this realization, I don't have to respond to her. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that was pretty good. Made me impressed. you know,
Yeah.
with EFT. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. It sounds like it took her to a place where she was got a lot calmer so she could think it through rationally. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Other than
Exactly.
reacting. Yeah. No, that sounds a beautiful story. Beautiful story. How old was she?
So she was in fourth grade, so maybe 10-ish,
Wow. Wow.
9 or
Wow.
10.
What a
Yeah.
beautiful little soul. Yeah. Beautiful. So
Yeah.
you talk about getting control back by giving it up, which
Mhm.
sounds counterintuitive when you say that out loud. What does that actually look like?
So I think a lot of times what we try and do, especially as parents, we try and control our kids' behavior, I
Mm,
guess, you
yeah.
know? Um, and I mean, honestly, there are certain things we just can't control. Do you know what I mean? And so I think when I say get it back by giving it up, I mean, recognize the certain things that we have control over, which is
Mm,
basically our own self, our
yeah.
reactions, our thoughts, our, whatever. And so when we realize that that's all we have control over, we can have influence over other
Mm,
things with other people, but we only have control over ourselves. And
mm,
so we have to figure out how to work within that and say, okay, if I need to have my kiddo make some sort of behavioral change, I'm not going to be able to force them to do it. I'm going to ask myself, wait a minute, what can I do differently to inspire that change? You
mm,
know?
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and I think sometimes too we can make it fun. You know
Mm,
what I mean? Like when our kids were younger, they would do something and my husband would be like, "Oh my gosh, and I'd be like, "Hold on. How can we make this fun for ourselves?
mm,
What can we do to kind of inspire this, but we can make it fun for ourselves?"
yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Humor always makes it better. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So just further on the control, or when I say, yeah, the parents with the control, you explain your sincerity circle as helping parents sort out what is and is not in their control. Can you explain how that circle helps parents?
Right. So it's kind of like a layered circle, if you will. So, like the inside of the circle is things we have control over, what we say, what we do, um, what we ruminate on, what we concentrate, just different, all these things we have that we have control over. And then the circle right outside of that, the ring right outside of it, things we can influence.
Mm,
So we use our inside circle to influence things in the next circle, in the next ring. That could be like our children's behavior or, lots of different things we can, or other people's reaction to us. We can maybe
yeah.
influence that by using those things in the inner circle. And then the ring after that is the resilience. So the
Hmm.
resilience circle. So there are things on there like take a walk, take a breath,
Mm,
reframe things, that kind of thing. And
yeah.
then the outside circle is stuff I have no control over. Right. So what I tell people is when you find yourself in that most outer circle, you can either go to the resilience ring and you can do some things in there to help you get clarity on what to do next, or you
Hmm.
can go back to the inner circle and say, these are the things I have control of. What am I going to do with that?
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lovely framework just to structure it in people's minds in that time because a lot of the time when you're in that outer zone, yeah, you're just in reactive mode. But if you've got a framework that you can draw on it, yeah, it's a lovely tool. Yeah. So again, releasing control. how does releasing control reduce stress instead of increasing it? Because a lot of people would get quite stressed to release control.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It is counterintuitive because a lot of times we decrease our stress by controlling things.
Mm,
But at the same time, when we're trying to control things that we can't control, it's like saying, okay, I want to have a picnic tomorrow. I'm going to make sure it doesn't rain.
mm,
Do you know what I'm saying? I have no control. All
yeah,
I have control over is what do I do if it rains,
yeah.
you know, or whatever. And it's the same thing with our kids. I mean, unless we be very forceful and eh, with our kids, and who wants to do that? Nobody's going to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
So it's I found it myself, I found it more of a relief to be like, oh, I can't control that. I can't
mm,
make them clean their room when I say. I can, I can inspire them. I can say, like, you know, we'll read a story tonight as soon as your toys are picked up, or something like that.
mm.
But I mean, really, that we have no control over certain things. And it's kind of a relief to admit that because then there's no pressure to control that stuff we can't control.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I love that. So, what has this practice taught you personally as both a counselor and a mum?
The giving up control
Mm,
to get it back. It's just, it has made me more calm,
yeah.
and I think it's just made me more calm, which has made me a better parent and a better adult at school.
Mm,
Um, because I'm not getting dysregulated because I can't control something out of my control. I don't put pressure on myself to
mm,
control, how much does that kid eat at school? Not my business. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Or, how fast are my kids are adults now, but how fast are they going to clean their room? Well, it depends. It depends on how motivated they are to do whatever is coming in the next hour or whatever.
Mm,
You know what I mean? And if
yeah.
they're not, it's okay. I mean,
Mm,
there are more important things.
yeah. Just something was coming to me about that earlier comment that you made where, you can be really forceful to your children and controlling them in every step of the way. It may work at that time, but that child would probably, build up resentment over time. And, is that forcefulness, is the child scared of the parent? You don't want to build those negative relationships. So I love this concept that let's release control so you can actually build a beautiful relationship with your children as well and a safe space for them. So your work is rooted in the idea that one small change can create a ripple effect.
Yes,
Why is that so powerful for parents?
because I think that it takes away the overwhelm. Um, So our program is broken down like month by month, and each one of those months is broken down into 4 weeks. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
So it's made really small. So like all I have to concentrate on this week is this one change. That's it, you know.
mm,
And then that takes away the overwhelm. And then when they start seeing progress or like changes happening, then it's more motivating to keep doing more stuff. You
mm,
know what I mean? And so it kind of builds on itself.
yeah. And just on that, what's one small shift parents can try this week to feel more calm and connected?
So I think one thing that they can do is to just do one little self-care thing. And I
Mm,
would I would recommend the same thing for them as to try this with their kids too, is that when we're dysregulated, big emotions, sort of feeling out of control, if you will, or whatever, um, is to use big muscle movements
Mm-hmm.
Before you start trying to problem solve or figure things out, use big muscle movements. Take a walk,
Mm.
run, dance, and with your kids too. Encourage your kids to do that too if they're really upset.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes it takes them off guard when you just break into a dance or something. You know what I mean? It's like, what? You know, and I've had people ask me, what if they don't do it? You know, and I'm like, well, I just do it anyway. I just do
Mm.
it anyway, because sometimes they get curious and, you know, and they follow. And
Mm.
if they don't get curious and follow, at least I'm getting myself more regulated,
Yeah.
which calms the whole environment, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I
So
love that, and it'll bring fun and humor into the moment. And as you said, the child will get curious, not furious, in that
yes,
situation. Yeah, yeah, I love that. So, how does focusing on progress rather than perfection change the parenting experience?
I think again it takes away pressure
Mm-hmm.
from the kids. Um, and I think too that a lot of times what we do is we talk to our kids about how smart they are or what they accomplished. Oh, you got so many A's on your report card. Yay, I'm so proud of you. You're so smart.
Mm,
Instead of saying, wow, look at this report card. You worked hard. You stuck with it. You persisted. You didn't give up.
mm,
All of these things. That's kind of praising the progress instead of the perfection. And that
mm,
takes pressure off of kids because a lot of times in school, what happens is kids start out and they're like in what we call gifted and talented,
mm,
because of their scores or what have you. And so they go and they qualify for this gifted and talented because they're smart. And that's kind of now their identity. I'm smart.
mm. Yeah,
And so they go along and they go along, and then years pass, and now their scores are not such that they qualify for this anymore. So instead of being like, oh, I'm still working, I'm still not giving up, I'm still persisting, they're like, I'm not smart anymore because I
yeah,
don't qualify. And
yeah.
then it just, because now they have no identity.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
think it's
love
just
that.
really important.
Yeah. The way I
Yeah.
was framing that in my mind was, not don't praise the outcome,
Hmm.
praise the journey. Mm.
Yes,
Mm.
perfect.
Yeah, yeah. No, it
Yes,
makes sense, isn't it? Because we all always, we're always looking for that next thing in life, that the end goal, and always striving for that goal, but we're not enjoying the journey at the time and celebrating the journey. So it's really, and living in that moments. And yeah, so it's really about celebrating that. Yeah, I love that.
yes.
So can you share one word that you would use to describe calm?
Um, I, I would do either peace or resilience.
Mm,
Resilience because if I have resilience, I know that no matter what happens, I'm fine. I can
yeah.
handle it. No matter the worst things could happen and I will get through it, and that makes me calm.
Yeah,
Yeah. And also I just think peace starts from inside. But yeah, resilience, I like that better even.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And just on that, what's one practice that helps you reset on those hard days?
Myself, you mean?
Yes.
Or yeah. Um, so the walking,
Mm,
the
I
the
thought you,
walking is a big one for me. Because I don't sometimes I just don't wait until I'm really upset. That might not
mm,
happen for days and weeks, who knows, whatever. But if I just do that, it helps kind of calm my system and sort of regulate myself, get me
yeah,
motivated for the day.
yeah,
So that's a big one for me. And it's not
yeah,
even that long. It's like 20 minutes,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. No, I resonate the walking. If I don't get my daily walking, yeah, I feel out of alignment each day. So I get quite, yeah. sort of that irritability, but something's not right. It's that alignment because I haven't walked in nature and yeah, had my thinking time. And can you share something about parenting that still brings you joy?
Oh, goodness. I think that my kids still come to me for stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, they want my input. They value my input, I guess, and they still come
Mm,
to me. They share funny things, they share fun things, they share struggles. They're like, oh my gosh, I have this situation. What can I do? It's like, oh yeah,
mm.
we're still connected, even though you're adults.
Yeah. I love that for you and your children. That's just beautiful energy you have between it. And, again, it's just what you've built with them over time. Yeah, so it's beautiful. And if positive vibes were a parenting skill, how would you help parents strengthen it each day?
To strengthen positive vibes.
Yeah, if it was a parenting skill.
I would say, so sometimes I think people think it has to be this big thing, big
Mm,
deal stuff. But little teeny things going through the day, you notice, oh, I notice you're wearing red socks today. I noticed that,
mm,
or oh, you're up earlier than usual, or stuff you notice, or saying
mm,
hi, or pat them on the back, or just as many of those teeny little things you can do during the day. I think
mm.
that just spreads that positive.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love, and I also love, as you said, pat them on the back or touch them, squeeze their arm as you're walking past, just to let them know that you're there and yeah, and that you see them and yeah, they're part of you. And for parents listening who feel overwhelmed or stuck right now, what is the most compassionate thing you would want them to hear right now?
Um, I guess to keep what we call a growth mindset, I guess, to know
Mm,
that the more mistakes we make, the better parent we are.
yeah,
I mean, it's like well, I don't know if you know Michael Jordan, the like really great basketball player. He said, I am successful because of how many times I've failed.
yeah,
And I learn more, and I think parents learn more from things that don't work
yeah,
than things that do work because we don't pay as much attention when
yeah,
they work. So yeah, to
absolutely.
just give yourself grace and slack and just like enjoy the ride,
Mm,
and just none of us are perfect. We all learn as we go,
yeah.
for sure.
Absolutely. And I often say those things that we think are failures or negative things in our lives are actually disguised positives because they're redirecting us on what we need to know or where we need to go. Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah.
perfect.
So, Monica, where can listeners find you and learn more about the butterfly effect parenting?
So, a couple places, Butterfly Effect Parenting, 3 words on Facebook. And on that, I just give a little tidbit here, a little tidbit there, just different things. And then Butterfly Effect Parenting, just all one word.com, butterflyeffectparenting.com. Um, yeah, there's a lot of information on there. So.
Wonderful. And is that where they'll find about the parenting and children workshop?
Yes, in fact, it's on the front homepage, like big. First thing you see is about that event. So,
Mm.
yeah, for sure.
Wonderful. Can't miss it. I'm sure there'll be many people looking you up after hearing this today.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, yeah, I look forward to
Yeah.
it.
Wonderful. Well, Monica Nave reminds us that parenting does not require perfection. It requires presence, compassion, and small intentional shifts that add up over time. This is Positive Vibes with Nicki Dennis, where support begins with understanding. Sending you all love and positive vibes. Bye for now, and thank you, Monica. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your experiences and lived experiences and sharing your gift with the world.
Thank you so, so much. It's been delightful, actually. I appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Sending you all love. Bye for now.